We've all heard of deleted scenes in movies, stuff cut from the final version because it ruins the pacing, over-eggs the exposition pudding, or even bumps up the age rating. Well, games have cut content too. Sometimes it's junked because plans for the story or gameplay change over the years the game is in development. Other times it's because it's straight up broken and the developer runs out of time to fix it. Just think of the thousands of levels, weapons and features that never saw the light of day, and in a world where a fourth Indiana Jones film exists. Fortunately for us, there's a team of amateur Sherlocks on a website called The Cutting Room Floor rooting out the secrets hidden in the game's code, so we can fantasise about how our favourite games might have turned out. Here are the 7 director's cuts we'd most like to see. After hours spent exploring Irrational's underwater dystopia, we know Bioshock's plasmids off by heart. There's the electricity one, and the not the bees one, and the Half-Life 2 gravity gun one. Alright, it's been a while, but the original Bioshock very nearly had 3 more plasmids to add to that mix. Speed Booster would have given you a brief burst of speed, which would have been handy during all that running away from big daddies we did. Parasitic Healing, on the other hand, not the actual other hand, still the left hand, would have allowed you to drain health from unfortunate splices to pep yourself up. The one we're most intrigued by though is Teleportation, which allowed you to drop a beacon and then instantly warp to its location. We like to imagine this caused problems where you ended up accidentally teleporting out into the ocean and clumsily drowning, but the reality is less dramatic. It just broke some of the scripting that triggered events as you negotiated Rapture's corridors, so they got rid of it. Plenty of stuff didn't materialise in the final version of Left 4 Dead, presumably as a result of Valve's rigorous lunchtime playtesting policy. Some of it's just minor tweaks, such as the removal of audio dialogue from the downbeat ending of the Mercy Hospital campaign where the helicopter pilot is infected. This plot was fleshed out again in the Crash Course DLC.
I'm guessing there aren't any actual doctors in your group, are there?
More interesting is evidence in the same audio files that zombie dogs were once part of the plan, as if the horde wasn't terrifying enough. There was also a prototype for a type of special infected called the Screamer. If he spotted you, he'd run in the opposite direction and you'd have a few moments to plug him before he'd start screaming the place down and attract the horde. In the end, he was deemed too confusing, and some of that behaviour was folded into the design for the Boomer. And as a bonus bit of trivia, there was also a design abandoned during the development of Left 4 Dead 2 called the Leaker, which would have dropped acid as you shot it, but they settled on the Spitter instead, which I think we can all agree is much less disgusting. We're of the opinion that 2011's Mortal Kombat reboot has fatalities that are quite brutal enough. We don't exactly watch that and feel like NetherRealm went soft on us. Apparently in the original design though, the even messier brutalities from Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 and Mortal Kombat Trilogy were part of the game. They're extended combos that end with the unfortunate victim exploding in a sort of Roman candle of blood and bone.
Sonya wins.
When the game's sound files leaked onto the internet prior to release, there was a clip with Shao Kahn announcing a brutality, and Ed Boon later confirmed in a tweet that the developers simply didn't have time to finish them.
Brutality.
Given there's a new Call of Duty every year and that the technology is passed back and forth between Treyarch and Infinity Ward, it's hardly surprising that Black Ops 2 has all sorts of junk fossilised in its code. For a start, there are a ton of old weapons from Black Ops mentioned, most in reference to the Zombies mode. If you're a big fan of the Kipras submachine gun or the Commando carbine for example, you might be sad to hear their names crop up in there. There's also different versions of 2 multiplayer maps. Plaza was formerly known as Promenade and Standoff was rather bluntly named Village. Finally, an entire game mode was excised. Hacker was intended to be a free-for-all mode where you could hack autonomous ground robots and the kills the AGRs racked up counted for extra points. Sadly, all that remains in the final code is an icon. Probably the creepiest entry in this rundown, the tragic tale of Red Dead Redemption's Nora Hawkins comes across like a video game ghost story. Nora's an unused non-player character stranded out in the Great Plains and has lost her dog, which can be found in the caves in tall trees. Or at least it would if the mission was functional. It had to be canned because Nora is often already dead when she spawns. The only way to activate the quest at all is to load up a modified save file, and we've heard that if you stand in front of a mirror and say the name Nora Hawkins 3 times, she comes and gets you. Of all the lost features in this list, this is the one that cuts the deepest. You might want to sit down for this. I hate to be the one to tell you, but Saints Row 4 very nearly had rideable velociraptors in it. I know. Here's an artist's impression. The only evidence left in the game is a few lines of code that allow you to perform the mount velociraptor action on an object. Adding the flag to a non-player character apparently allows you to clamber up onto their shoulders. The only thing missing is the actual velociraptors. We don't want to overstate this, but this is basically the worst news we've heard in all of 2013. Bioshock creator Ken Levine is notorious for working and reworking ideas that never even make it into the final game. Still, even that doesn't explain why there's this modern-looking observatory sitting on a mountaintop that never featured in Bioshock Infinite's story. It can only be found by deactivating the collision detection on walls in the PC version and escaping the ending sequence. Other things missing from the final version include the vending machines for clothing, which all appear destroyed or out of order in the final game. The machines were originally meant to operate just like the other vending machines in the game, and there were lines of dialogue recorded, which interestingly included Yiddish slang. There's evidence that the boss fight with Slate was originally a more conventional stand-up fight rather than the chase it is in the box version. Finally, and this is something evident in preview material for the game as well, Irrational went through several different designs for Comstock before they settled on racist Father Christmas.
But I'm just a prophet, so I don't have to.
So there you go, 7 things they cut from your favourite games. If you like this, please do like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Outside Xbox.